It's Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday. It's our favorite day.
Hey.
It's our favorite day. It's our favorite day. It's our favorite day. It's Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday, it's Tuesday. It's our favorite day.
Hey.
Hey, King.
Hey.
How are ya?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm amazing. I'm your girl, Tori Rose, the Connector, and this is the Connected Corner. And I have the awesome and amazing privilege to co-host this podcast with
Miss Kiana B. Coming live from the Connected Corner.
Coming live from the Connected Corner. So if you guys don't know, she's no longer Kiana B. Jones. She's evolved.
I've evolved.
And you're going to put some respect on her name.
Yes, absolutely. So y'all catch that.
Yeah.
New season, new show, new us, new teams.
New me, new friends. I like your glasses.
Thank you.
You're welcome, girl. So
I like them.
I like them too. They make you look fancy. Where'd you get them? For all of the viewers out here who want to know, where can I get them?
Oh, you know what? I actually got these from Costco.
Oh, look at that. News and resources you can actually use. Okay.
Yeah, they actually have really nice frames, which is really hard at times. You know, I mean, I've been wearing glasses for many, many years. And so, you know, different eye doctors and different places. And so they actually have a pretty good selection.
Wonderful.
I was impressed. Yeah. And I wasn't even playing. I was in Costco doing other stuff. And I was like, oh, they have a, you know, eyeglass center over here, and check them out. And I really like their frame. So I went back.
And got your vision clear. Okay. So listen, that is in alignment with who we are talking to tonight. We have this amazing guest. She is definitely someone who, if your vision needs a little clearing up, she can definitely help you. Before we introduce our guest, we want to say thank you and shout out and hello to our partners. Key, you want to run us down who our partners are?
Yes, we want to give a big hello and shout out to Nicotine Media, Radio on Fire, and WMEG Radio. Make sure you follow them on social media. They're on IG, Facebook, and then you can catch us over there on their platforms as well. Thank you and shout out to our media partners.
Hey, media partners, how y'all doing? And again, if you guys are catching us on the replay, if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you go over to YouTube to the Connected Corner and hit subscribe. We also want to make sure that you hit the bell so you are notified every time we go live. This is the place to get news and resources that you can actually use, but that means you're going to use them. So do yourself a due diligence and be sure to subscribe to our channel. So are you ready, Key?
I am.
I'm still bouncing too. It's our favorite day. It's our favorite day. We love Tuesdays because we get this opportunity to talk to individuals that maybe you don't know, maybe you know a little bit about, but you want to get connected to, right? Yes. So tonight we're talking to the amazing Tiffany Bethea. Tiffany is just a great spirit. She's a bubbly person. Even though she says she's an introvert, God has just given her such a sweet, sweet spirit. Tiffany holds a BS degree in business from Hampton University. She's an ordained minister. She has a HubSpot digital marketing certification. That was funny. She's a 7-time best-selling author. Y'all get with it. And she is a entrepreneur. She's a boss. She's a mom. She's a friend. She's a coach. She has independently just leveled this entrepreneurial world up. And she is the CEO and founder of the Kingdom Boss. So guys, put your virtual hands together as we welcome Miss Tiffany Bethea.
Y'all had me in here bouncing too, like.
You know, and I'm not normally easily intimidated about anybody or anything. But Tiffany can sing. And so I was like, wait a minute. It's my favorite day. We're hold the note. Favorite day.
She did it a different tune today.
Extra in there. I love it.
Just a little bit. So Tiffany, welcome, Kingdom Boss. How are you doing today?
You know what? I am fabulous, y'all. How about you guys?
We are great.
I'm wonderful. And y'all see me, I bounce all the time. I have actually the ball chair. So
oh, yes.
I forget that if I'm on Zoom meetings and doing stuff, and I'll be like, oh, I'm bouncing.
That's gotta be a good workout though, huh? Listen,
It
I might
is.
need to get that.
Well, she bounces so much. I'm surprised that she is not bouncing coins off her booty. She got buns of steel at this point. I love it though, because for those of us who ADHD or, you need focus or whatever, it has been proven that a little bit of movement can help you stay in rhythm. It helps you just, focus a little better. So if you got a biggity bounce, as long as you're moving yourself forward, I am okay with that. Speaking of moving yourself forward, you are a second generation entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Boss babe. Tell us a little bit about what was that like growing up in a household where your parents were entrepreneurs? Did you understand what that really meant? And how much did it really play into you becoming the kingdom boss?
I love that you started there, because you know what? I don't know at what point I recognized it, but at some point that became a huge part of my story and my passion, even with the work that I do, because I realized that I was actually speaking from the perspective of what their children would experience. I work with a lot of people who are first out the gate, trailblazing a path. And one day it just dawned on me, like, I'm your kid. I'm the one who got to see that and come up in that. And so I always tell people, like, keep going. It's worth it. You know what? No, I did not at the time. I didn't recognize it. One of my earliest memories, my mother, who is a serial entrepreneur, has had all the businesses. A lot of people don't know because she's a pastor, but she was a seamstress. And I mean, like, really good. She made like wedding dresses, like didn't even have patterns sometimes. So she was like a go-to. And so when I was coming up, I used to help her, I used to be so excited. So when she was like sewing some of the parts of the dress, she would like let me steam, the seams and like different things like that. And I don't think I realized how much pride that was instilling in me. I remember every Saturday was fitting day. So all the brides and people would come by with their bridal party. And I was so excited to help out and be customer service while people were waiting in the lobby, which was our house. But, and I don't think of course I didn't realize at the time what seed that planted in me. But as I got started in my own journey, and honestly, just looked at a lot of my colleagues who were first out of the gate, I realized that all of us have challenges, but there were some things that did come a little bit more instinctively for me, because psychologists say like 90% of behavior is learned behavior, and entrepreneurship is a way of life. It's not just a vocation. So I got to see my mom constantly networking and just all of those things. And so it now that is a huge part of my story. I tell people who are first out the gate, you have to do this. You have to turn it around, because your children are going to be in my shoes where it just comes naturally for them because they saw it, So I could go on and on, but I love that you started there.
I think that's very true. I get to see from a different perspective, because Kiana is an entrepreneur who's a serial entrepreneur, and she has grown adult children. Mm-hmm. And so she doesn't realize that I often look at her children when I am making decisions that will impact my own son. Yeah. And so Kiana, you want to talk a little bit about, entrepreneurship from your perspective and being a mom of now children who are entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I could definitely relate. When Tiffany was saying that and describing like how she feels, and I was saying, oh, that must be how, my children feel. And so it was funny to me, because I think about even when Braxton was, I was ready to say 5, not 5, but 5th grade, when she was around 5th grade, she came to me and she said she wanted to start doing nails, because she had already decided, she was already dancing. She had started dancing at 5. And so she was saying like she was going to have a dance studio, she was going to be a social worker, and she was going to do nails on the side. and so hearing that, it's like, really? But then I guess I never realized like this is what they saw. They never saw me just work a job. They always saw me have a business, much probably like your mom. I've sold art, I've done ACN, I've done, this and that. And so when I was doing the personal preference art shows, she was a baby, 2 or 3. I would have her and Kai helping me put my my settings together, right? Putting the pieces together and stuff. So what I was going to show. So you don't think about that because you're just in that mode. And so now they all are, business owners. She has her own clothing line. She's, fashion merchandising, doing all these things in college, already starting their businesses. And so they've even started earlier than what I did. I started coming out of college because I started a family. I was like, I need extra money.
Yeah.
And I was never the work the part-time job person. Like I just couldn't do it. I tried to do Sears one time part-time. I never made it past the training. I was thinking, I did. Because it's like I have kids. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, and then when I got the check, they had me there like I had to come after work, and I got the check. It was $90. I was like, I can hustle for $90. Like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly. Well, honey, thank God you didn't go to Macy's, because Macy's would have hooked and reeled you. I was at Macy's. I just kept going back. But so I think what you both are saying is just so important. So let's look at this. Tiffany's in a household. She's seeing entrepreneurship firsthand. She's actually having pride. It's being instilled, right? It's that seed that's being sowed. And now flash forward, 18 years old, you read this book, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
18. How are you so perceptive at 18?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that experience, because it sounds like it's been transformative for you, right? So things kind of from that point forward, you have blossomed into the woman we see today. Tell us about 18-year-old Tiffany.
First of all, you did your homework, because that's not in my bio. I don't even know where you got that, but that is true. Like, I know I talk about that. Now for that one, I have to go to my dad, because my father is the one who planted so many seeds in me about reading. We always joke, like, he always talks about we must become a people that read. My father's library is like legendary, right? And so he's the one that put those kind of books in front of us as children. And of course, we didn't necessarily appreciate it, but that seed was there. And so I was in an honors program at Hampton. And so, I had to read it. Like, it wasn't that I wanted to. But in our honors course, my first semester, we had to read Think and Grow Rich. And for some reason, like that quadrant that talked about, like, investment and employ, it really stood out in my mind. And to be honest, I think I've just always been wired differently. I always knew that I wouldn't just work a full-time job. And that isn't to say that it's not honorable. I just always knew I was wired differently. So when I saw that quadrant, it stuck out to me. And y'all know what I did? I went out, and I don't know, it was within a week or two, I joined Mary Kay. I don't even remember how. I don't even remember where I met the lady. I was away. I didn't know people down there. But you'll draw opportunity when you're really open and seeking. And so that was really like my first stab at, a business, was selling Mary Kay. I loved makeup. That was my hustle. You got to have a hustle in college, right? So hair, I was the girl that was doing hair and doing makeup, and, so that was my first try at entrepreneurship. And I just kept, trying different things until I really found what stuck. But I just remembered after reading that book, I said, I gotta have a business. Even if I have a job, I gotta have a business too. So yeah, 18-year-old Tiffany was like, we gotta make moves out here.
I love it. I love it. And so for anybody who's listening, who's watching, if you're watching on the replay, let us know that you're catching it on the replay. Make sure you're subscribing to our channel, and also tell us what you are reading. Because I know 18, 19-year-old Tori was reading Iyanla Vanzant's The Value in the Valley.
Yes.
So it was a journey. It was the journal or journey of the Black woman. Yeah. And here I am now in the HBCU, living on my own, working 2 jobs, putting myself through school. And I have this epiphany that A, I'm a Black woman, B, I'm going to have a journey, and C, I'm going to have something in me that's going to be able to push someone else forward. Yeah. And so for anyone who's listening who is not currently reading something, read something. If you have a child, a daughter, especially 18 to 21, buy her some books.
Yeah.
And who she develops into as a woman may very well be ignited from the books she reads between 18 and 21.
Yes. I
And
love
so where are you today? So that was 18-year-old Tiffany, Mary Kay, bumping and styling.
Yeah.
Eyebrows still on fleek, let me tell you.
Listen, and these were done this morning, so I don't know what's left, but
they look good, honey. They look good. These are my natural eyebrows. They say you can lick your finger and go, like type of thing. Because I don't know how to make them look like they're even related. Forget cousins or sisters. They look like distant neighbors. And so tell us where you are today. Kingdom Boss, big moves in entrepreneurship. What does a Kingdom Boss look like? What is it?
Yeah. You know what? I simply say that a Kingdom Boss is someone who lives a God-surrendered life and has a God-surrendered business. You know, I found that there was a group of people who wanted to glorify God even in their business, right? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I ran from it initially. It wasn't something I wanted to do. And I always share that to let people know that oftentimes your target audience will find you. Because somebody is out there listening and they're trying to figure out who they serve and all of that. And a lot of times they're right under your nose. They've been coming to you. People were showing up to me and I started paying attention and realizing that they were already here. Let me go ahead and super serve them, you know? And so to be honest, y'all, what I've learned at almost 10 years full time, right? Kind of looking back at it, is that when it comes to this whole making boss moves and all of this stuff, it's really not about the things that we do versus who we become. And so honestly, with Kingdom Boss, like that's really my heart. You're gonna get the marketing, you're gonna get the branding, you're gonna get all of that. But I'm gonna give you the secret, which is that if none of this is gonna work, if you stay the same version of you that came through these doors, it ain't gonna work. Something in you, that fear, that lack of courage, that lack of identity, it's gonna have to shift if this is really going to work. I remember 2013 to 2014 was the first year that I tripled my income. And if you ask me, Tiffany, what did you do differently that year? I changed my mind. And I know that sounds so cliche, but that was the only thing I could trace. I was like, I didn't really do anything different. Oh, I grew. Oh, wait, that's like, it works like that. It works like that. I showed up differently and the marketplace responded. And so I think that even though I fought it initially, I understand why God had me create that space, because he was like, everybody's talking about what to do. Not enough people are telling these people, you're going to have to change. And I spend more time talking about that because that's the soil that the seed goes in. I'm like, I work with multi-million-dollar companies. I can give you the best marketing information, but if the soil isn't ready, you won't do anything with it, you know? And so I was tired of putting seed on concrete, y'all. I was like, nah, we gotta break this up and get people to be fertile so that they can really ingest this powerful information. So
that is so true. I know a lot of times when Tori and I started, we have Connected Group, much like it wasn't something we had even planned to do. And then when people were like, oh, well, can you help us? We had one networking event. And then people's like, oh, well, can you help us with this? Like, no, we were getting this together so y'all could we connecting. It's Connected Group. Like, we just connecting. And then people were saying, well, help us with this, help us with that. As we were speaking about different things at the event. And so, you know, as clients were coming and people want us to manage, like, we're managers now, we're managing talent. Like, what exactly are we doing here? But a lot of it was, it is dealing with the inside, right? Dealing with who you are on the inside, dealing with those things. Like, you can't even get to where you need to go. As most people say, entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not equipped with some grit and some determination and some perseverance and look, the fruits of the spirit and all these, you are not going to make it as an entrepreneur. And so just having those things, but then also just being honest, with yourself. So I can attest to that. Tori say all the time, like, this person will be coaching and this happened. We took your, and I was like, I'm not doing anything else until I know I'm ready, until God says like to do it, because I have pamphlets and I have PDFs and I have this and I have all these things, but it's about the timing of stuff. And so I look at stuff, it looks good, but I already know, I'm not ready to do it yet. So it's like no point in doing it because I know it's not going to happen. And so you have to be ready, and it has to be, like you said, on that fertile and good soil.
That's a very good point, because everybody right now on social media, it looks like they started the business in January. They made $1 million in March. They had 2.5 million followers in May.
Yep.
And it's like, come on, that is not, A, it's not true.
Exactly.
B, if it is moving that fast, it's not legal. And C, if you continue to watch that person, you'll be depressed and suicidal because you're missing the foundation that was laid. You're missing all of these other behind the scenes things. And I think that, social media, we just we're talking to someone earlier who said about the positive, what they got from it. And so I always say, if you need inspiration, go to social media, get connected. But if you start feeling overwhelmed, you need to understand, then you need to disconnect, right? And so, Tiffany, how do you keep that balance, especially in a world where everybody thinks they're a boss? Everybody wants to be a boss and not a worker.
Right.
So how do you keep that balance in a world where social media says it should have happened 6 months ago and you should rush?
I love that question because, I am a type A. I always jokingly say I'm a type double A. And, I would imagine a lot of us are. It takes a certain, like Kiana said, that kind of grit. A lot of us tend to be, movers and doers and go. But the downside to that can be, it can be hard for us to enjoy the journey because we're so on the deadlines and the timelines. And that, woo, honey, I mean, that has been a whole thing for me. Okay. And so it honestly took me years. I mean, this was not a quick journey. It really took me years to get to the place where I could, it sounds cliche, but find the joy in the journey. I realized that it's not in the destination. It really is in the journey, all of the pieces along the way, because there are times where you can actually get to the goal and it not be as sweet as you thought it would be because you didn't find the joy in the journey, the things along the way you were supposed to pick up, the relationships and the mistakes that were lessons. So I finally have gotten to the place. And so why is that important with social media? Because I understand that my journey is my journey. And I have seen people who have, reached success maybe faster than I did, but that's their journey. I'm on my own journey, and I have fallen in love with my journey. And it really took a while because, I always very transparently tell people I started my business full time, fresh after a divorce. I always say I was broke and broken. And you know how they talk about $5 in a dream? Girl, I had negative $5. I didn't even have $5. Who had $5? Girl, I didn't have $5. And so the journey has been a real climb, for me. Like Kiana said, it's been a much bigger journey than entrepreneurship. I was one of those people that Steve Harvey talked about that just leaped. I knew if I didn't move when I did, then I would have never moved. And so I didn't have all, a year's worth of money saved up. I didn't have that neat journey. I just jumped because I knew if I don't go now, I'm never going to go. And so it's been a real process, And so because of that, I'm good with where I am. If that was sis' journey, more power to you, double tap. But I'm good with my journey and I don't feel like I need to compare. But that was a struggle. And I want to be honest, for somebody who may still be there, it's okay. We all been at that place where we see somebody else and go, dang, I wish I had moved at that pace. Man, she made $1 million her first year. What's good? But I'm like, no, I can see why God had to take me exactly the way, and I wouldn't change anything. But it took me a while to get there. And so I love your question, because social media can have us depressed, feeling like we're not doing nothing, feeling like we're not making a difference, and nothing could be further from the truth.
Awesome. Great answer. Kiana, have you had to block anybody or unfollow anybody on social media? And this is not a loaded question because I don't know the answer, but are there times when you find yourself like, this is not in alignment with the entrepreneurial vision that I have for my life?
Yeah, I most certainly have. I think sometimes I go through, one, when I look at people that have like zero posts, or, you start looking like, why are you even here? Like, what is happening? And so also too, if I'm looking at certain people pages and it's nothing, like I can't really glean anything from what you're saying. It's not positive. Or every time I see you in my time, I'm like, what is this about? Like, and then it makes you go to the person page like, why am I following them? Like, why are you on my timeline?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in those cases, definitely, when it comes to certain people, initially, even sometimes when you're out and you make connections and it's like, oh, I'm doing this, and you may, follow, because that's the new card, like, oh, follow me now, type of thing. And then you realize like there's really isn't much happening, with that person. And so, so yeah, I do the cleanup every now and again. And Tori, I have like, especially on Facebook, like Fort Knox, I have groups and all kind of securities. I put people, because back when we first started Facebook, when it first started, I don't even think you can do it now. I haven't found it, because I can't add, like, I think I can add like new groups, but I actually have people in groups and they can only see things based on the group that they're in. And I did that, because you have clients and just, had students, I've done so many different things. I was like, I gotta put these people in certain groups. Like, this teacher want to be my friend. Let me make a group for them. And
So
they can only
like compartmentalization. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to throw that same question to you. I know you may look at a different lens, but are there times when you say this person's not a kingdom boss? This is kind of like a bus. Let me remove this. How do you compartmentalize so that you stay focused and you make meaningful connections and things like that?
It's funny. I chuckled with when you first said that, because I actually have had to unfollow people, not because their content wasn't valuable, but because at that time I felt like it was a distraction for me, and I felt myself comparing, and I said, I need to get stronger, and then I can come back and follow. So I can remember having to, and the last time I had to do it was a few years ago, just because of where I was, I said, I got to unfollow this person because their content is distracting me. And even though if you look at the content, it's not negative, when I see it, it discourages me. And I was like, I don't need to be watching that. And I haven't refollowed them. I really haven't, just haven't had the desire to. So I haven't, come across a whole lot of pages where the content hasn't been valuable. But let me ask y'all something though, because I feel like every now and again, I'll see somebody on my Instagram timeline and I'm like, when did I follow them? I feel like Instagram will make you follow people you didn't follow. And I'm like, I don't think I follow them.
So in theory, the algorithm is not supposed to work that way. The congressional, and so this is something I actually do, and it makes me a little nerdy at times, but I follow the congressional hearings when it comes down to PII, information sharing, the Facebook owners, Instagram owners, and things like that. And so when Senate asks the question, right, the congressional hearing, they ask the question of Mark Zuckerberg and the Instagram team. Instagram is not supposed to force followers on you. Mm-hmm. What will happen at times is you will follow someone who has classified themselves as, let's say, a model, a mom, and a muffin maker, right? Those 3 M's, right? So she calls herself the 3 M's. And you follow her, you like her content, then it'll be recommended followers that are in alignment with that person. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that person may have reposted or shared someone's page. Mm-hmm. You think that you are following the 3 M's, the muffin mom, but you're really following the person that they've shared.
Okay.
That's posted. And so, you know, I love, I don't know if you've ever, and this is kind of off the beaten path, but if you ever watch even the videos, how they compile the videos of like the old white congressional members or Senate members asking questions, it's hilarious. Like, it's like the funniest thing ever, because they're like, oh, I can hold this up to my face and they can recognize. So, you know, you're talking about 70 and 80-year-old men who, from a policy standpoint, are trying to make sure that the American people are staying protected, especially in such an informational age. But their brains cannot conceptualize how interconnected everyone is on these platforms. Kiana, I know, can speak to ghost or phantom followers, which is also a thing, because what happens is we then get into hashtags or pages that have links to other software, right? And they add followers or they take followers, right? And so there is something, you know, we could spend probably 5 hours talking about algorithms and the ads and how Instagram makes money based on the followers and things like that. You should not be being forced to follow someone that is not in your interest path, though. Will it happen? I believe it does, because I believe there's glitches everywhere, but it's not supposed to happen. Yeah. So that's my geek squad for the moment. The reason that I'm so interested in watching that and listening is because, and I've watched what you've done with Clubhouse, and I want you to talk about your Clubhouse. New things are coming. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. It's like spaghetti sticking to the wall. When Periscope came out a couple of years ago, we thought Periscope was really going to be the next wave. And many of us went to Periscope and started, you know, accounts and things, and then it fizzled out. But then Clubhouse is here, and Clubhouse is like booming. Can you tell us a little bit about Clubhouse and how you used it, and if you're able to monetize from your Clubhouse platform?
Yeah, let me tell you something. I was the last week of November, I stumbled onto Clubhouse, just like so many other people, with pure FOMO, had no idea what in the world it really truly was. And kudos to their marketing, because when I found out it was invite only, something in me was like, well, I need to be invited. Well, where is my invite? I'm somebody, you know? And so got on the platform, and early on, one of the very first rooms I went into was a dinner party, and it was like Bishop Jakes and Van Jones and all of these incredible thought leaders. And I was like, is that what we're doing here? Like, it was just an authentic conversation. And I think the fact that there's no video, no imagery, pure voice really gives a very authentic feel. And I think that's why the platform has taken off in the way that it has. For those who aren't familiar, it's almost like an audio podcast, but the listeners get to speak as well, you know? And so the first week in December, I got approved for my club. Didn't know really didn't know what I was doing, y'all. Like, had applied just cause, you know, oh, sure, I got a thing, I'll apply for Kingdom Boss. And December 5th, I heard the Holy Spirit say, get up and do Bible study and prayer this morning. Now, you got to understand, again, I'm a type A, okay? So I was like, I haven't had no time to do no logistics, no planning. I told the Holy Spirit, I'm going to do this on Monday. Who am I? Why am I trying to bargain? He said, no, ma'am. You're going to do it today. Okay. And so I had 0 followers when I got started that day. The next week I had 500, and I said, okay. And then I think over the next few weeks, we grew at a pace of about 1,000 per week, because it was, and this is why timing is everything, because it was in a heavy ramp up at that point, right? And so we were literally growing by 1,000 per week. And then it slowed down a little bit, but still, you know, continue to pace well. And so we're at 10.2 thousand right now. And the thing I love is that people come from we have had people in our rooms from Turkey, Spain, the UK, Canada, everywhere. And so just being able to connect, hear their perspective has just been amazing. And so Clubhouse has been now a huge part, of our, honestly, lead generation, because you know the marketer kicked in. And so about 30 days in, I started realizing this was a thing. So I put my lead magnet in the description, and my email list doubled within like the first 30 days. And if anybody knows anything about email marketing, that's where sales came from. So I made my first 5 figures from Clubhouse within like 30 days, just from being intentional about moving those people into an existing, sales path that I already had created. So I think that's the thing that I would encourage people as these new platforms. We don't know how long Clubhouse is going to last. I don't even care about that. You hear so many people who are like, oh, it may be gone tomorrow. Well, I did what I was supposed to do. And I've moved those people from Clubhouse to a platform that I own, so I can continue, connecting with them, which is the whole goal of social media for business owners.
Yeah.
I don't care where you meet them. Take them to your platform.
That's right.
So Clubhouse.
Congratulations to you and your team on that. I have so many people who have wanted to partner and things. It's like, oh, but we know you're a motivational speaker, and you open your mouth and things happen, and that's all great. And I give them the example of going to a pet store and buying a fish, which I just did. I have a new baby fish. His name is Freedom. But would you look at me as a good fish owner if I had brought Freedom home and kept him in that little container? No. Would you look at me as a good fish owner if I had brought Freedom home, taken him out of that container and put him in this glass that's not really suitable or has the capacity for him to thrive? No. But when it comes to my business and where I am and my capacity, I can celebrate Tiffany, my sister girl, my sister in Christ, Kingdom Boss, proud of you. That means I know that the model works. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that I have to be then in competition to try to do the same thing if I don't have the capacity, the environment for it to thrive and be successful. And so what I'm seeing also is people who over this 3-4 months have built something great and it has fizzled, and they are so deflated and they are so frustrated and they are angry and they don't know how to get the return on that investment. So they made that money once. Yeah. Right. But that door didn't swing back for them. And so what, if any, advice do you give to someone who may have been bullied into building something greater than they had the capacity to actually manage?
I love this, because one of the things I tell people is that you have to use what you have. I haven't seen this traction on every platform, but one of the things that I've heard repeatedly is that people are drawn to my voice. So that's me using what I have. Everybody may not have the same thing, but everybody's got something. So it's really about use what you have and where can you flourish. I think a lot of times we just copy too much. I was just I had a coaching call not that long ago, and I just, one of them asked a question and I said, don't make random moves though. Make sure it's strategic. And I think that's what, I've seen with Clubhouse as well. I know people, even colleagues, who have massive platforms on other, social media, and so came over here and thought it would automatically transfer. And they're looking at me with the big rooms and the big following, and they're like, I got 2 people in this room and I can't figure it out. And I'm like, I can't either, because I'm not doing anything different. This is just me stepping into a grace. This is me using what I have. And so I think we have to not be frustrated if a certain platform doesn't take off for us, but to focus on what is working for us. Dominate where you dominate. Everybody's not going to dominate in the same places, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and that is something we talk about all the time. it's funny, having accounting, and I started doing taxes years ago in undergrad. So I started only family I had at first, family and friends, and that continued to progress, of course. And as I progressed, my prices, then I graduated, I got the degree, and then I got the second degree. It's like, oh, okay. But it's funny because people will always say, oh, why aren't you doing this? Or you should do this, or why you don't have an office? And I had one particular relative who would just hop back and forth. At one point, I just didn't let them come back, but they had left me one year, went to somebody, the person had, their place in a house or something. And they said, yeah, I went in and I was thinking, I won't say the relationship or that, and I was thinking that my son, you could have had that. And I said, well, how? When every other year you keep deciding you don't want to come to me. Like, so people say things and they do say, no, I'm completely okay. I have mastered virtual world that when the pandemic hit, I got new clients because they didn't know what to do. How am I getting my taxes done? I can't go to the place. Well, I started and was completely virtual in 2011. Right. And so I said, oh God, there you go. That's what it was. So while people kept saying, you should have an office, why you don't have an office? How you do people when you don't have an office? And, all of this stuff. And I'm like, well, you learn how to use this platform. This is where you, put your stuff, and I'll have a tutorial for you. And if not, then that means you're not the client for me, because I'm tired of paper and I'm tired of moving people folders and papers around that they never come and get back. Right. And so who knew, right? Now we're in a pandemic. And nobody is asking, one of my new clients, so where do we come? We're going to have our consultation on Zoom. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So, when you think about that, don't let people bully and push you into the places, especially like you said, when you're led, by the Spirit, when you're led by God, you can tell me whatever it is you want to tell me. Nope, I'm not. He didn't say that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And as soon as God tells me that's what we'll be doing, that's what I'll do, and it's always people that's not doing it themselves. But
that's an awesome point. So this show is Making Big Moves is Monumental May. It's also Mental Health Awareness May. And so Tiffany, for the entrepreneur who's out there, who has the heart, who has the vision, who may have even, confirmed that they heard from God, but they struggling. Like, what do I do? Or who has prematurely left their 9 to 5, not understanding that they could have done the 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 thing, right? What advice can you give them so that they stop banging their head against the wall and, be able to straighten up, find that confidence and walk in their productivity?
It's so funny because I promise I'm not just saying this, but like your questions are hitting on all of the staple values of things that really matter to me. And one of the things I find myself saying a lot lately, actually, I started saying it in Clubhouse, to be honest, and I've just been saying it ever since. I've been saying to a lot of newer entrepreneurs, when you get started, you need a coach and you need a therapist. But if you can't afford them both, start with the therapist. And I really mean that because the mental health journey is so crucial to what we do. And whether it's anxiety, whether it's identity, whether it's understanding who you are, all of those things show up in a very strong way, as you are making moves in this business. And so I know for me, a lot of my biggest breakthroughs really have come on the therapist couch. I am a big advocate. We have a whole room on Clubhouse every single Monday called Jesus and Therapy, where we're like straight talking about mental health, because for me, it is that important. And I have clinicians who are anointed, but really break down like serious issues, because y'all, this is the stuff that's keeping people. It's not social media and graphics. It's that they don't believe in themselves. It's that somebody said to them in the 3rd grade that you weren't enough, and at 45, they still can't shake it. That is the stuff that caused people to not want to go live, underprice their services, be afraid to speak in front of the room. And so I'm like, some of this can't happen in the workshop. Some of this got to happen on the therapist couch, where you can have an opportunity to unravel some of that and create some new conversations in here, you know. It's funny because I feel like when we talk about mindset, I know it's not necessarily, you know, the sexy part that people want to hear about, but it's the part that really makes all of this work. It's the real boss moves, to be honest, because the reason that I show up this way now is because I don't believe that I am my trauma anymore. I don't believe that I'm divorce and failure and all of these other things that I thought when I first started. You know, they had me way undercharging for my services and running myself ragged. I can remember when I first started full time, my son was 2. And I remember having no boundaries. You hear me? I could be cooking dinner, on a call, just all over the place. And that came from trauma. That came from financial trauma I had experienced and feeling like I got to do all the things. And it wasn't until I got free from that financial trauma that I was able to put comfortable boundaries in place. Office hours. You call me after a certain hour, I'm not available. And you know what? I ain't afraid about missing that money. And if I miss it, it wasn't for me. But in the beginning, I didn't feel like that. I got to catch every call because I'm going to miss something. That came from trauma. No coach helped me with that. That came from therapy and working through all of the stuff that was stuck in here, you know? So that's what I would say. You know, there's some things you need to coach for, but I would bet that you probably need the therapist first to unravel some things so that you can, that's where the real breakthrough and getting unstuck comes from, you know, to me.
That is awesome. And I can so relate. I had a mentor once say to me, literally, where you were, my first divorce. And, you know, now I'm on my own, you know, single mom. And I had my taxes. I was doing that. I had the job. And then I'm calling him, you know, he was my mentor and taught me pretty much, you know, what I started out and why I was even doing taxes. And I was like, so do you have some stuff? Because I used to work with him. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, it's tax season. I said, well, I mean, it's still not enough. I don't know why, you know, how I know us. Like, it's not enough. Like, I don't know what to do. And so he was like, well, what are you charging? You know, and I told him, I was like, he said, you doing charity work? Like, what? Because you don't have enough time to work for me too and do your business and the job. And you're doing charity work. He said, first of all, I don't even talk to anybody for this. He said, what makes you think you have a degree? You've been doing this. What is wrong with you? You know, like, why are you? And so I was like, and I said what you said, but if I take then I won't, you know, I'm going to lose the client. He said, but they're not your clients.
Yes.
They're not your clients. And so I had to do what I said, grandfather in any new clients that year. They started at that new price, he said. And then I just slowly, and I mean, the melting away of those who really should not be your client that happens. And then you turn around, like, and people come to me and I say, I don't even have clients that make under a certain amount anymore. Mm-hmm. They don't even make under a certain amount anymore. Like, you know, and so that is so important. And so it is obvious, you know, through what you're saying and what you're doing, that you love what you do. We, you know, love watching and seeing, and, you know, we've been able to learn from you as well through Kingdom Boss in different ways. But so we're going to do this next session. It's going to lead right into our segment here. And it is key questions. It's key questions. And so in this segment, it's 2 minutes, and you have got my little timer here. See, it's a 2-minute timer on it. And you have 2 minutes. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and you have 2 minutes to answer all 3 questions. So just keep that in mind, you know, and I will turn the timer over after I read the first question. Okay. All right. All right. So the first question is, what is one thing about the work you do that puts a smile on your face every time?
That's easy. Oh, it's really honestly watching people's lives change. You know, I talk about like marketing, sales, profit, money, but that money is never just money. It's people getting to pay off debt. It's people getting to finally take their family on vacation. It's people getting to buy a house. It's really watching people take their gifts and actually transform their lives. And it's something about that like is the best high. Like that first person whose life changed, you'd be like, I want to change everybody's life. And so it's the transformation, definitely.
Awesome. All right. So question 2, and let you know where your time is. What is one piece of advice you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Stay true to your identity. Don't become what you see in the market. Don't compare, because the doors that are for you, like the real you, not who you pretend to be.
Awesome. That's a good one. And then the final question is, what are the best resources that have helped you along the way?
Here I go again. People. Honestly, and it's funny because I'm an introvert, so that was something that I had to shift. But honestly, I'm a huge advocate for community. I believe that entrepreneurship is a team sport, I say. And I really do believe in the African proverb, like we can go fast alone, but we can really go far together. All of my biggest breaks, biggest opportunities, biggest ahas have come through the beautiful relationships I've cultivated. So I think that people are honestly our greatest resource. And even last night I was at dinner and just realizing like nurturing relationships, that's like the real goal.
Awesome. And that is important. That was great answers. Thank you. You did it. You did it and you did it in 2 minutes. That was really good. But I love the relationship piece, and relationship building is important and throughout everything. I don't care where you want to do jobs, wherever, build the relationships. And it will definitely, get you far.
Yeah,
most certainly. I saw a meme that said, it was like, oh, I just don't like people. I can't stand people. And it was like job interview. Do you like people? And I was like, oh, I love people. I have interpersonal skills, but that is so true. And in this season, we have to be true to who we are and, just unique and authentic. And so this has been amazing. Like was over here writing my notes. I'm creating quotes from the Kingdom Boss. I'm honored. And, I don't often tell people a lot of my business. People think they know all of my business. They don't. But I will say that you and I had a conversation recently. And when I found out what you would charge a little old entrepreneur like me, I was like, oh, only, not to say only, but you got to understand, we go and we travel, we eat good, we eat, we drop a couple of stacks when it's something we want to do. And so to find out that you were so affordable for someone like me, to help me reach the goals that I want, I'm looking forward to working with you. You get my stamp, my endorsement, and you're going to get Kiana's stamp and endorsement, not because she's going to go with what I say, but because we've watched the fruits of your life. We know other people who work with you. And so we're just excited. How can we find you? Tell the world how to get connected to you. If someone wants to potentially hire you, how can they find you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much. This has been fun. I have absolutely loved being here with you guys. They can go to www.kingdomboss.com. You'll find out more about how to work with me, what I offer. And then I'm on every social media platform at Tiffany, the letter L, Bethea, Bethea, Facebook, Instagram, all the places. So let's connect.
And Kiana, how about you? Where can we find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms as Kiana B. Jones. And all positivity.
All positivity. Yeah, we were talking earlier about how sometimes when you say, be mindful, have mindfulness and gratefulness and things, and people are like, oh, here you go with that positivity and that toxic positivity. No.
What is toxic, Lord?
Yeah, so there's a new thing. It's almost like it's almost like, what was that other phrase? So I don't like a lot of slave movies and things like that. They talk about, that's kind of like a toxic reprogramming or whatever. There's a culture that cancels everything, and positivity is currently being canceled. People feel like they should have the right to vent and invent. I am of the mindset that you can call a fish a fish. So if you need to vent it out, but don't stay there. So now that you've told me about all of the bad things, I need you to take a step back. I need you to look around you and identify the good things. Because if you don't, again, change your mindset, your situation is not going to change. And so, unfortunately, I'm going to get canceled because we positive. But I don't care for that because I ain't here for their approval. I'm here for his approval. Anyway, I digress. So you can find me at Tori Rose the Connector, and Tori Rose on all platforms. Anything positive is me. Anything negative is your mama. So this has been an amazing show, Tiffany. Thank you so much for getting connected with us on the Connected Corner. We wish that you have just your endless heart desires. We know God is going to do amazing things, continue to do amazing things through you and to you and for you. And we're just excited to be sister girls with you. So thank you. Guys, listen, get connected to Tiffany, check out her platforms, hire her, level yourself up, and become a boss of your own. This is the Connected Corner. Stay connected to us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, and make sure you use the resources that was given here today. And so, we're talking about making big moves in May. Definitely want to connect and make sure that you are getting the resources you need. And we are bringing them to you here at the Connected Corner. News and resources you can actually use.
So use them. It's been real, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Peace.